So the truth is, us as consumers, we want an improved experience when we're engaging with the brands that we engage with on a daily basis. So the reality, therefore, then is to leverage the digital footprint that we have as a customer as we go online and the searches that we do, and then leverage that to actually improve the customer experience that we give to our customer. Right now, marketers tend to use this insight to really target offers to us, where the reality is that makes us a little bit more wary about the information that we're providing. So if we can actually leverage the insights to actually improve the journey, then I think the customer is more likely to accept that and actually provide that information for us. So for an example, if I'm looking for a mortgage and I'm on a bank, and I've been on the website for a number of times and I've looked at offset mortgages, tracker mortgages, etc., as a customer, I actually know that I've been going on the website and know I've been on specific pages, on the mortgage pages, as we do that. So if I want to pick up the phone and actually speak to the call center as a result of some questions I may have, why don't I use the insight that I've generated in terms of where I am on the site to drive my phone call directly to the right agent? None of this press 1 for this, press 2 for that. But if you use the insight specifically to actually improve the customer experience, then I think customers are more likely to accept it.
Well, in this situation, the first thing the client has to do is get out in front of the story. This is a PR issue more than a digital marketing issue. They've got a reputational situation going on. They need to get out in front of it. They need to find out what the issues are, address those openly, honestly, and be very upfront and candid. But it raises a bigger question. How did they get in this situation in the first place? I think the key thing for marketers is think about, it's the golden rule. Think about how you'd like to be treated. If you say to a customer, hey, I'd like to market to you, I've got this product, this service, this offering, and by exchanging some data from you, I can deliver a better message, a more tailored message to you, customers will respond to that, consumers will respond to that. They're not as naive as we think they are. So think about how you would like to market to and market to them. Yes, there's all kinds of neat whiz-bang technology, but avoid the creepy factor.
Well, let's be clear. Loyalty really begins with trust. So when you trust a brand, when you trust a retailer, when you trust a packaged good, an airline, a hotel, your willingness to tolerate a different level of marketing goes up substantially because you have less risk that the information that you've provided, where you are, what you've bought, all that information is being gathered is being used in a positive way, not a negative way. We live in a world in which data is being collected at every facet, but increasingly marketers are realizing that consumers are not comfortable with all that information. As loyalty marketers, we have the opportunity, but we also have the responsibility to gather that information responsibly and use it in a very efficient way, use it in a way which is relevant and rational so that we don't creep people out. There's a factor that we started using years ago called the creepy factor. We don't want to push the envelope so that we're creeping people out from the standpoint of the way we're marketing. But what it doesn't mean is we can't reinvent the P's of marketing. So what used to be about price, promotion, and place, and proximity is now really 4 new P's. It's privacy. We have a responsibility to respect people's privacy. Loyalty programs really give us the opportunity to have a better lens into people's privacy, which leads to the second piece, which is permission. Loyalty programs give us permission to gather the information, but also to use it in a far more rational and relevant way. The third P is purpose, which means once we have the information, and if we have a purpose to using it, we can actually apply it in a very rational and very relevant way. In effect, we know what we're doing, we understand the cause and effect, and we're doing it in a way which doesn't have a creepy factor, but is relevant and timely and contextual in terms of what we're trying to market. And the final piece is profit. Because if we understand the investment that we're making, we can understand that return of investment. So to reiterate, there really are 4 new P's of marketing. They are privacy, permission, purpose, and profitability. And that whole idea of being creepy really gets mitigated by balancing those 4 things. Another aspect of this creepy factor is really giving consumers choice. And so we would call that the aspect of control. And control is actually one of the factors which is a huge contributor to a consumer's loyalty. When you give her the choice of how she wants to be engaged, whether it is on her telephone, via SMS, a push message, via email, in the store, through some intimacy and a relationship with associates, through direct mail. The frequency with which we communicate, that really gives us an opportunity to mitigate the risk we have in terms of being intrusive. So control is an important aspect to it. So while we may have access to all the information, it's very important to give consumers the aspect of impacting how we use that information and have pure, unambiguous control over how that information is used. It may be expected that information is being gathered, but how we use it, we want to put into the control of the consumer. One of the challenges we're facing with loyalty programs right now is how to effectively communicate what is the trade-off between providing more of yourself from an information standpoint and the benefits to which you receive. We can't be naive to think that if we just put down on a web page what is the trade-off and what are the benefits of the program, that say when you provide this personal information about yourself, you will receive these following benefits. The way to essentially demonstrate that is through the actual engagement that a brand has with its consumers. So it's when emails start taking on the products that she is more likely to buy. It is when the experience on a website becomes more rational from the standpoint as she's walking into a store. Well, there's one thing to actually have a push notification when she breaches a geofence. It's far another thing to say, welcome back, Janet. Here's the product you were browsing online. Again, when she starts seeing the benefit of that, particularly if there's a sharp offer. So a typical example might be someone takes a look at a product online and she abandons the cart. 48 hours later, she's within 50 meters of the store that's actually selling it. It's a great opportunity to essentially use two key pieces of information that we have. We know what she shopped for, we know where she is, but it's a crazy opportunity to essentially be intrusive and say we've been spying on you and we know what you want. How do you demonstrate that level of knowledge without making her feel uncomfortable? One way is to explicitly tell her that your information is being gathered in a certain way and it's buried in the terms and conditions, and frankly, she's never going to realize that. What we must do is demonstrate extreme value, that maybe she's getting a sharper offer, a sense of convenience, which makes checking in and checking out for that product that much faster. And number three, making sure that we're maintaining her trust, which is to say we're not sharing that with others, it's kept tight. Associates aren't necessarily coming up to her in the store and saying, Janet, we see her here. Allow her to make personal decisions within that context. Mobility has changed the view of intrusive behavior immeasurably. While mobility gives us an opportunity to put a very powerful computer in her hand, we must take responsibility to use the power of that context and that location and past purchase behaviors and even as payment responsibly, and demonstrate to her that when she buys into this scheme, good things will come of that. We're also facing a generational change in terms of people's expectations, and I think that we have to be careful with it. And the device with which we use and the channels through which we communicate are going to have a huge impact on this. So let's take mobile as an example. Mobile is ubiquitous now from a smart mobility standpoint. Mobile is also a channel which is transcending generations. People understand the inherent capabilities of a mobile phone. It has GPS, it has a camera, it has rich email, it even has video, it has payment in many cases. So regardless of your age, we're actually finding that mobility, smart mobile in particular, is allowing us to essentially be more intimate from a marketing standpoint. If you carry that device, you understand its capabilities, and therefore you accept the type of offers that are being run. Social, however, is an entirely different channel, and it is generational from that standpoint. What we've actually found in social is while social allows you to be more intimate, think about the idea of direct messaging someone in Facebook or Twitter about a particular offer. There is extreme pushback right now from consumers who say, my social space is my social space. It's my personal space. Do not use social as a means of communicating with me. Social is another example, which is much more of an intimate space. And social, there's a tremendous amount of pushback. The consumers are saying, do not use social as a means of communicating to me, whether it's en masse or even more interestingly in a creepy personal basis. So marketers who 2 or 3 years ago thought that direct messaging in Facebook or direct messaging in Twitter was the holy grail of intimate marketing are actually finding that consumers, while aware of that capability, are pushing merchants back and saying, don't use social. That's my personal account and my personal relationships. It's okay to stick to my telephone, but social is just not an area that I'm willing to allow you to go.